I wake again. No dream. No jolt. Just eyelids lifting like another device booting. The air tastes of metal, mildew, and old sweat. Breathing feels like inhaling exhaust from a machine's lungs. Overhead, the vibrating ducts hum, a reminder the entire hive is turning. And we are dust between its gears. Prayer bells travel down the vents. Bronze ringing that feels like someone striking the bones of your ear in the dark. It announces, a new shift begins. It also means, I am still alive. Which counts as luck. I sit up on my bunk. Bunks stack into the dark, layer after layer. A prison wall built from human bodies. The thin blanket has memorized my scent. Years of fatigue, fear, and the quiet sediment of resignation. My name is Thaddeus Vaughn. Designation 4779 Beta Shift. If you ask who I am, the precise answer is a unit of repetitive labor, an interchangeable part, a resource not yet reclaimed, with 17 billion others. I am packed into the spire city called Morigle Prime, a gravestone of civilization inverted into hell. My duty? To manufacture bolter ammunition. Every casing, every grain of charge, must be perfect, sanctified, without flaw. Otherwise the dead will not be the enemy, but the Emperor's loyal soldiers. We cannot be the Imperium's leak. We are permitted only to be its fuel. When I pull on the gray work suit, the coarse fabric scrapes my skin and reminds me, comfort here is a sin. On my chest, the sleepless double-headed eagle. It tells me, no matter where I look, I do not escape the Imperium's gaze. I pin the brass eye into my collar, heavier than any shackle. With it, I may walk to work. Without it, I am not qualified to breathe. We queue for rations like a tide. Lining up isn't a habit, it's a reflex. If someone shoves, complains, steps out, they are corrected at once or removed. Breakfast, gray protein paste and a vitamin-rich gel bar. The taste? Smooth despair. I swallow it. Flavor is irrelevant. It maintains my efficiency. The clergy say, pleasure on the tongue is a luxury, unworthy of those who devote their flesh. The vox plays a recorded prayer. High ecclesiarchy tones with muffled echo. Labor is the source of light. The wearing down of flesh is the purest offering to the Emperor. Oaths grind from tens of thousands of throats, merging with machine noise into one language. My lips move with them, but my mind counts. What's today's quota? Will yesterday's punishments continue? Who vanished? Is it my turn? No one needs answers. Staying alive is the only answer. The walk to the floor is about 43 minutes. No windows. No sky. Walls draped in faded scripture banners. Holy script smeared again and again by oil and despair. Above, servo skulls drift past. Skulls stripped of former memories. Fitted with lenses and thrusters. They record. They surveil. They judge. They are the Imperium's purest loyalists. Because they no longer think. I keep my head down. Looking up is dangerous. You might see what you should not. See what you should not. And you never exist again. There are no footsteps in our line. Only fate in motion. The workshop is a cathedral of steel. Steam spreads. Machines roar. Conveyors shriek without rest. There are no miracles here. Only worn iron arms and overloaded gears. My station is 4779. That is the boundary of my existence. An inch beyond, I need new authorization. The process is simple, but admits no error. Inspect casing charged, press the prayer seal. Dress the edge drop to finish tray. Repeat. Repeat. Repeat again. Each step owns an assigned failure. Cleanup crews will collect a failure's tools. Finger bones and blood together. I saw it once. An elder worker's hands shook. The powder measured a whisper over spec. The blast was a blink. Fire swallowed the body. The supervisor's catechism followed. Equipment destroyed. Resources wasted. His kin will bear this sin. His name erased. His station refilled in 3 minutes. The machine does not care who you are. The Imperium will not pause to mourn you. Each time I see the bullet, I wonder, will this round kill a Xenos? Punch through a traitor? Or jam a barrel and explode the soldier holding it? We serve war, and in serving we choose who dies. The prayers say, we are the extension of the Emperor's wrath. I feel more like his forgotten spine. Ding! The discipline bell tolls. The first today. Each strike marks a life judged insufficient, a mistake, a lapse in faith, or simply exhaustion. The reason doesn't matter. Warnings require no reason. I do not look up. No one does. We know. If you pause from curiosity, the next extinguished breath may be your own. Time is meaningless here. Only quotas mean anything. I keep loading and praying. Praying and loading. Sweat mixes with litany and becomes this hell's holy water. I once tried counting how many shells I'd finished. Later I learned, numbers won't save you. Precision won't save you. Faith won't save you. The only salvation is not being seen. If you want to live, be transparent as air, tasteless as coolant, quiet as ash. The engine's roar dips half a tone. Not a shutdown, an abnormal quiet. That screams danger. We all hear it. It means inspectors draw near. Servo skulls mass above the aisles, hovering slow. When they gather, they make no sound. Yet they thicken the air like cold oil. Overseers hang shock whips and data pads from their belts. Red robes and the fumes like stains of blood. Their augmetic eyes sweep without mercy, hunting any flaw unworthy of continued existence. I grip my tool until the fingers blanch. Every clutch feels like squeezing my lifespan. Tick, 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 the quota counter. A clock counting down the remains of you. The numbers climb too slowly. Slow enough to be evidence against us. Yesterday's tally taught me. Miss by a little. And someone's prayers receive no echo. I don't look up. But I hear a coworker's breath hitch out of rhythm. We all pretend at calm. But every inhale hides a scream. We are not completing work. We are seeking survival. Footfalls at the corridor's end. Heavy, synchronized, without hesitation. Not supervisors. The Imperial Navy's Quality Commission. The ones who hold true power over life and death. Boots strike the deck. Each step lands in someone's bones. Deep blue glossed uniforms. Cold light pulled into hard order. Faces masked. Only the Aquila and Scepter mark authority. They do not speak. They don't need to. A finger extended to a station means the life here will be replaced. Air congeals. I hear my heart. I am sure the monitors hear it too. One inspector stops at my station. He reaches over the finished tray and takes a freshly completed bolter shell. My fingertips' warmth still clings to the tip. Now cold instruments scan it. Light passes over the metal, like a silent headsman searching for a reason to cut. My breath halts. I do not blink. His stylus scrapes the slate. A soft metallic rasp, like a blade across teeth. After a moment, he returns the casing to the tray. No nod. No word. He moves on, heavier than any verdict. Because here, silence never means safety. It means the sentence waits. Even with his back gone, no one moves, not relief. A reminder we remain observed. Erasable at any time. I work on, mechanical, as if the pause never happened. But my fingers are numb, belonging to someone else's body. Never have I felt so clearly. Between me and those dragged away, stands the fate of a single shell. The pervox swells in volume. False comfort drowns the floor's noise. Each sacrifice upholds the wall of mankind's faith. Grand words, thin veil for another meaning. Sacrifice will arrive again soon. Midday pause comes. We stand in formation for admonition. Eyes forward. Always. 10 minutes ago I could see an old hand at his bench. Now his station is empty. Clean empty. Even the scratches on his tools are gone. He was only a designation. The designation deleted. As if he never came here. No one looks at the vacancy. Curiosity is disobedience. Disobedience is a death sentence. We have one task. Swallow the fear. Keep praying. Keep living. I remember a training litany. We are the spine of the Imperium. If the spine breaks, we carry on. The man who said it was reassigned to scrap processing the next month. He never returned. Lunch ends quickly. The counter's figures flash like mockery, reminding us the stock of the sacrifice eligible is not yet enough. Ding! The second bell of discipline. This time I know who. The young worker at my side. His hands always trembled a hair. Yesterday he almost got named. His eyes stay down. He says nothing. Dust lifted by a draft. Taken away. Not coming back. The shell in my hand almost slips. Because I understand. Yesterday almost deleted him. Tomorrow may be me. Sunlight? We've never seen it. Time? Only for counting down to culling. The Imperium calls us indispensable labor. In truth, we are consumables. Every bell strike is a stock update. After evening prayer, we're released to the dorms. Servo skulls still shadow our route, reminding us, even exhausted, do not wear the expression of slack. Scripture on the walls stretches into twisted shadows. 1,000 eyes peering through cracks at our thoughts. I force myself to think nothing, because here, even thought requires a permit. After a brief prayer, we return to stations. The vox still scrapes the ear, but something has changed. The overseer's mechanized voice carries cool arithmetic. Quota increased today. Each worker will complete 3,000 compliant shells. No exceptions. No excuses. No errors. 3,000. My back ached all night. But quotas climb, they never fall. The skin of my fingers is split open. Every inch reminds me. We are being used up. To be thoroughly replaced. There is no room for defiance. Here, even a frown is a crime. I inhale, and draw in more anxiety. The air is so dry it could cut a throat. A casing slips, rings the deck. That small sound shatters the silence. I snatch it up at once, terrified of being seen. My knuckles crack on a machine edge, skin splits. Blood wells and dots the cold steel. I scrub it away, erasing the only beauty not permitted to exist. Blood is the one fluid forbidden to spill here. Machines may leak oil. Walls may drip water. People may not bleed. Blood means imperfection. Imperfection means waste. Waste means deletion. I plug the cut with my sleeve and keep working. Pain is an instruction. Don't stop. Continue. Continue, because if you stop, you will be stopped. Behind me, someone's breathing speeds up. A sound that ruins the floor's proper silence. I shouldn't look, but human and foolish arrive together. A side glance, an older woman, fingers warped by years under pressure. Each joint twisted like it was forced beyond its shape. Her motions slow, every step begging the bell for a reason to ring again. The overseer moves toward her. The whip's tail crackles faintly. Not a threat, a preview. She feels it. Her spine trembles. She accelerates. Too fast for precision. Despair jets from her like high-pressure steam. In that instant, the round slips from her hand, falls into the gears beneath the conveyor. Grinds, detonates. Flame. The scream snaps in half. Servo skulls flood the air. They record without comment and gather the blood-spattered metal. The overseer, flat. Clean. Continue. No one stops. We outpace the machines. At recovering silence. We know. Only the living keep working. The dead do nothing. The prayer channel shifts to a new passage. The cleric's voice seeps like a spell. Flesh is a replaceable vessel. Only through labor is the soul made clean. I repeat it. Though I don't believe cleansing is for us. We will be ground flat. Until nothing remains. Until nothing is needed. Until we disappear safely. The counter keeps jumping numbers, but we can't feed its hunger fast enough. Fatigue quietly scrapes away at awareness. Motion drifts to instinct from wakefulness. I can't tell if my litanies are reflex or disguise. Scalp tingles. Saws float. The world vibrates. I think I'm about to faint. But fainting here equals abandonment. So I pinch my arm hard. Shock the nerves awake. Pain reports. I am here. I must continue. Because only death deserves rest. And death is not permitted. Hours later, the overseer patrols again. His augmetic lens lingers a moment on me. That pause is worse than a lash. It means I'm noticed. I speed up. But speed and quality are enemies. I swallow a mouth of dry air. One thought burns. Do not become the next warning. Do not become the next forgotten. I notice. The bell tolls more and more. So often it feels as ordinary as breathing. Each heavy echo says, "You are being sifted." I don't know how long. I can stay above the mesh. Before evening prayer, the quota still isn't met. The counter flashes red, death's countdown. The overseer's warning. If targets are unmet tonight, prayer time will be extended. Nutrient allocation reduced. And a list of subjects recorded, for submission to review. Translated. Who drags the unit down will be dragged away. Even if that one is me. Ducks hum on, metal toes of tech adepts ring the floor. The hall feels ready to collapse. But finally, the quota clears. In the valve's great exhale, I realize I've been crying without noticing. Tears evaporate into unseen salt. I tell myself, not relief, just not disappeared. Yet, here, staying alive is not hope. Staying alive is punishment. The end of shift bell hits like a blunt weapon, striking the brain from behind the ear. It is not a signal of freedom. It is the beginning of a different procedure. We form up at our stations for closing prayers and the cleansing of tools. Every wrench, every die, every run of conveyor must be anointed with sacred oil. A strip of scripture pressed to the metal skin. The sleepless double-headed eagle kissed. Ritual before rest, faith before thirst. The tech adepts murmur binary hymns, their voices like grit traveling through gears. I mouth the words, throat dry, and do not dare cough. Here, any sound offbeat can be logged as disrespect. When purification ends, the overseer checks the seals. Only then are we permitted to leave the floor. The path back is the same as the path in, but the night shift lighting throws deeper shadows from the wall-hung litanies. Torn corners and oil seeping from cracks look like unseen eyes weeping, or a wound pressed again and again by fingers, no longer bleeding, only slick. Fewer servo skulls drift overhead, yet they still hang above the column like bones afloat on water. They are not an escort. They are a reminder. We have no right to be alone. At the refectory, the line arranges itself like a quiet river. The slot coughs out dinner, the same gray protein paste, a touch wetter. The water ration is slightly increased. Not sweet, only a little less metallic. Like someone dripped a single drop of mercy into sewage and tightened the cap at once. This is what reward means here, a reward that lets you live to tomorrow. I cradle the bowl and, like everyone around me, eat with my head lowered, eyes down. Eye contact is a dangerous craft here. It's read as organizing speech. The Vox recites its bulletin, the usual post-prayer endorsement. Victory on some front, resupply completed by some fleet, heresy burned out of some sector. The tone is fervent. The fervor belongs only to the tone. In the hall, only spoons tap bowls now and then, but another sound moves too, low as breath drifting through fog. I heard the inspectors took 7 today. 2 were night shift. Not our block. 77 Beta's list will continue. Watch your words. I hear the words, and become even more careful not to use any. In this hive, silence is the grammar of survival. A different current coils out of the corners. Someone exceeded quota. Might mean extra rations, they said that last time. What came after? Only longer prayers. But maybe this time is different. Hope is contraband here. It explodes misjudgment faster than powder. Some roll it on the tongue for a hint of sweet, and forget the sweetness is whipped away at once. I swallow the last mouthful. It tastes of nothing. Perfect for someone like me. Back to the dormitory. A dorm is not a room. It is a unit of space. 7 tiers of bunks. Honeycomb cells vanishing into dark. The air is stale, as if reused too many times. Someone coughs. Someone prays. Someone forces their eyes shut. When the lids close, the monitors record only stillness. I fold my work clothes, place them by the marked corner, then queue for the evening wash. Hands and face scoured until they sting. Metal dust and oil scraped from skin, as if I peel off a layer of today, to hand a cleaner husk to tomorrow. The water is not cold, not warm, just enough to remind a person they're made of meat. The dangerous time begins. It's not on the schedule, but everyone marks it without speaking. The brief blank before sleep. That is when minds are loosest, and tongues most likely to run. Some whisper what they saw today. Some guess which numbers will be on the list. Some ask. Asking alone is dangerous enough. Judgment doesn't begin tomorrow. It starts the moment you open your mouth, so I close mine. In the hive, shut up is both etiquette and self-defense, as necessary as keeping still in a right. I climb to my bunk. The space beside mine is empty. Yesterday someone slept there. Today the plank is cleaner than my forehead. His nameplate is gone from the wall, like a drop of water gone to steam. Who remembers which drop was in the steam? I stare at the empty board for a long time, until a ridiculous question forms. If one day my bunk stands empty, will it be wiped this clean? I stop the thought. Thinking leaves traces. Traces get tracked. Prayer starts up from the bottom tier. The voice a little shaky at first, then more in unison. The dorm becomes a struck metal box, its tremor tying ceiling and floor with an invisible wire. I mouth the words too. They won't make me feel better, but they cover the ones inside me that would betray me. Here, truth is the unforgivable heresy. I lie down, slide my hand under the rigid foam of the pillow, press my palm to something cold and hard, as if that could push today's heat back down. My eyelids are heavy, but the sleep is unclean. Cotton stuffed with metal shavings, filling nose, throat, chest, turning breathing into labor. I practice the trick I learned today. Pretend I'm already asleep. Not for others. For me. Convince myself I can avoid, for a while, thoughts of those taken away. Stop counting how many times the punishment bell tolled. Stop asking why the quota always climbs. In, out. Treat myself like a machine rebooting. Treat my brain like gears waiting for fresh oil. Treat tomorrow as an order that will arrive. At last, darkness settles over me like a cloth. Not warmth, only cover. In the hive, the kindest blessing is to sleep and have no dreams. The prayer bell shakes sleep from the ventilation shaft again, dust falling off its chime. I wake, and the first breath is warmer than yesterday. There's a new damp in the air, as if the recycler had a valve adjusted. This tiny good is not goodness. It only lets the machine run longer. The wash lines drop with a hiss. Today's water is half a degree hotter, enough to loosen the stiffness in my joints. I scrub palms, backs, knuckles to the required count, smear the clay-hard soap along my wrists. Skin goes red, like parts just calibrated. On the meal line, the paste is coarser than yesterday. There's grit between the teeth. Some say the formula changed. Others whisper it's a substitute from some war zone. Guessing is dangerous. I do the permitted thing, swallow. The vox above us sounds holy as ever. But the emphasis has shifted. Yesterday's repeated word was sacrifice. Today it is precision in obedience. Two words colliding in the throat, pushing a person into a narrowing seam. The corridor to the floor feels tighter, its width unchanged. Only the servoskulls are denser. Their camera eyes flick in the light like a rigid constellation, logging the tiniest twitch in our faces. Fresh litanies hang on the walls. The wax seals show pulling threads where they were cracked and pressed. Someone has centered one line more than the others. Error is pollution. Precision is purity. I don't stop to read. My feet quicken by reflex. The entrance rites stretch longer. Tech adepts spray joined housings with double coats of sacred oil. Spitting binary can't. 3 lines more than yesterday. Each line shields the machines and tightens the straps on us. At my station, tools are laid out in a new order. Every angle sharper than yesterday. As if a protractor judged each placement, a thin red line has appeared beneath my name plate. I don't know what it means, only that it isn't decoration. The quota display wakes. The number remains 3000. A new line of tiny text appears beneath. Tolerance band reduced, 0.3. It looks trivial. In practice, it's like pushing your fingers into a narrower gap. Use more force, but do not bleed. I take the first casing. Its metal feels the same as yesterday. What's changed is my heart's tempo, kicked half a beat faster by that little line. Work begins, all as before. Defect check charge per seal crimped to the finished tray. Only, as before, has tightened. I can feel the rhythm around me grow. Sharp. Everyone waits for the same unseen command. Hands square, breaths shorter. Time stretches. The clock is the same. But each step lasts longer, hurts more. As if someone split a minute into extra pieces. The overseer passes more often than yesterday. He says little. Sometimes he stops and sweeps datapad light over palms and sleeves, checking oil, skin flake, any mark that might be non-compliant. I roll my cuffs one finger higher. Let my hands chill in the air, so no stain can be mistaken for something else. The red line under my name sits there, like a desolate eye. Before noon the punishment bell remains silent. It doesn't comfort. It trains the ear to expect a louder one. I smash my focus into the casing in my hand. Along the edge, the faintest spur from the chamfer. Yesterday it might have slipped by. Today, it would be raised up as an example. I spend an extra half-second to correct it. Then pull that half-second from my breathing. I file a private spell in my chest. Half a second today buys tomorrow. The Noon Vox does not boast of frontline triumphs. Instead it reads a clause from the manufactorum covenant. Every round is a second life for a guardsman. Let it fail, and you kill your comrade. Old words placed at midday. We do not need the explanation. Someone is watching, closer, back at the line. The overseer's path changes. He doubles back along our aisle more, and lingers by certain stations, as if sketching a heat map. Those under his gaze grow more beautiful. Beautiful in a way not human. Beautiful like a motion designed to be watched. I try not to be beautiful. Accurate, ordered, clean, never showy. Here, to be noticeable is not a compliment. Mid-shift rest is shortened. The notice board says, to maintain cycle stability. We hear. The watching continues. I lift my ration water. Faint warmth slides from palm to elbow. Mercy hovering at the edge of fatigue. I need the numbness from my fingers. And return to my station quickly. Never give a lens the frame of lingering. In the first hour of afternoon, the ceiling speakers crackle. As if someone upstairs flipped a line. A clean voice, unfamiliar to our block, comes through. Notice, production line 77 beta is placed under supplemental quality assurance. Effective immediately. My pulse taps twice inside my ears. No one outwardly moves, but I know every stomach clenched in the same instant. Supplemental QA. These 4 words are never a blessing. They mean, some will remain. Some will be replaced. Some will never return. The voice adds emotionless. Sampling frequency increased. Evaluation standards synchronized to military need. Military. Standards like a muzzle. Thresholds like a battlefield. We are not standing in a factory. We are standing in its shadow on the front. I wipe my palm against my coverall. Leave a clean patch behind. And pick up the next casing. I am still here. I must aim at today. Tomorrow can come when it comes. When the 4 words, supplemental quality assurance, land, the air pulls tight like a sail in sudden wind. We do not stop. Our motions become minute hands, locked to the track. Willing to wear down rather than deviate. The outside oversight deploys behind us. 3 inspectors in Navy uniforms, 2 red-robed tech adepts at their sides. They carry unfamiliar instruments. A gauge set with a band of black glass that casts hair-thin light along the casing skin. A short-handled sniffer, keener than any human nose, distinguishing sacred oil from contamination. And a pocket terminal, its lights blinking to a logic I can't understand. A device for recording survival probability. I keep loading, crimping, sealing, placing, each step like groping through silt. Knowing the direction, not daring to hurry. They start sampling from the first station. The sample is random. Random has patterns. I see them pull one in every 8 to 10, and take an extra at certain hands. Those hands have made no mistake. But fatigue has a smell. The instruments recognize it. An inspector stops at the station diagonally ahead. Lifts the 3rd layer of casings from the tray. He says nothing, only sweeps light along the edges. As if dissecting a shadow. He sets 2 casings into different boxes. One marked, accept, the other unmarked. The unmarked box is darker than reject. The worker's throat moves. He dares not swallow. Swallowing is logged as stress. He only drags his hand across his coverall, as if wiping away something invisible. When they reach me, the red robe comes first. His mech eye passes my wrist. The scanner chirps, and he mutters a short prayer in binary. I hand over a casing not yet sealed. He takes it lightly, as if holding a glass soul. The inspector slots it into the gauge. The needle quivers, stops in a thin slit between marks. I can hear the sweat forming in the skin of my neck. He removes the casing, returns it to my tray, taps the terminal twice. It ends too fast. So fast I think it was a hallucination. But the heat in my palms hasn't come back. It's still there, in those 2 taps. The second procedure of supplemental QA begins. Recording density increases. The lens above my station tilts to catch both hands and eyes. This means, your gaze must not drift. The exact second you glance aside becomes a timestamp. I learned to tie my eyes like cables, between tools and metal. A servoskull sometimes crosses my vision, its shadow like winter wind, passing through, not stopping for me. Before midday, the first roll call echoes down the plant halls. Not the punishment bell, an administrative tone. The following designations proceed to upper evaluation, a string of numbers. I hear one I know. Last winter he taught me how to move hand fatigue between joints, without breaking regulation. Silently he strips his gloves, returns his tools, polishes the name plate on his chest, and steps out. No despair in his back, only the effort of holding bones straight, as if, before leaving, he wants to arrange himself into something that could be remembered. I know it's pointless. This place keeps records, not memories. Records won't save your shape, only your error. The third procedure of supplemental QA is double standard. The tech adepts inspect craft. The inspectors check compliance. Compliance includes whether you pray on the fixed beat, whether you finish a step within the prescribed seconds, whether you set down tools in the exact place, even whether you linger too long on a specific line of scripture. I understand. Today is not to find mistakes. Today is to find people. Pull the souls not standard enough out of the standard machine. The quota screen keeps pounding. The number stays 3000. The tolerance stays down. I push myself into a narrowing tube, each breath squeezed out, slowly, to make room. Every casing becomes the only chance. If it fails, it goes to the unmarked box, and I go to an unnamed list. The thought brings sweat, then forces me cold. Cold enough to cut every motion into clean segments. Lift, inspect, charge, seal, crimp, place. Not fast, not slow, not shaking. In the afternoon, they walk the line again. I notice how they linger by certain benches. It's less inspection, more observation, like watching animals for abnormal behavior in a cage. I press my spine to the backrest, set my shoulders to an unnoticeable curve, hide my Adam's apple in shadow. I make myself an ignorable variable, a datum on the edge that won't change the calculation. The second roll call comes. Calm voice, as if naming chores. Those called step out. No one looks at them. We fix our eyes ahead, on quotas, on survival. It isn't cruelty. It is the courtesy that lets each other live longer. I send them a silent prayer. May you know, at the moment of removal, that you once finished a perfect round. It is not comfort. It is the highest praise I can afford. In the last hour of supplemental QA, they pack their instruments. No verbal conclusions. They came like knives, leave like a needle buried deep in cloth. Unseen, still pricking. The Vox gives no results. Only, evaluation enters ongoing phase. Ongoing. Colder than any punishment. It means today isn't an incident. It is the new normal. When I set the last casing down, the tip of my finger trembles, just a touch. I press it down, as if pressing a secret that must not be heard. Today is over. Today will not end. After supplemental QA disperses, the floor feels like a harbor at low tide. Noise remains, the air tastes salter, invisible particles float. We perform the closing rites, wipe tools, oil them, seal them. My hands still feel weightless, as if the terminal took a length of nerve from the tips of my fingers. The Vox issues no outcome, just a calm addendum before the final prayer. Day's sample data will enter continuous evaluation. Please maintain your best version. 4 words sewn into skin. Stretch, and the thread pulls pain. On the walk back, the corridor lights flicker, like a nerve prodded again and again. Servo skulls drift sparse. Bone tracery and iron pins cross my view now and then. Time's shadow swinging across the ceiling. We move in silence. No one wants to leave extra footsteps on this path. Steps are counted. Counts become charts. Charts become decisions. Dinner tastes the same, but the bowls have changed. Narrower lip, deeper well. Looks like more, but the center is still hollow fullness. As I swallow, more than paste slides down my throat. A thought. Today they recorded not only done or not, but the width of each swallow, its frequency. The seconds I paused. These crumbs will be aggregated into another kind of error. Here, error is not a line. It is a net. The whispers in the hall are finer than yesterday. like air rubbing against itself. More names on the list. I saw 2 unmarked boxes in the inspector's case. They'll come back, right? Of course. As numbers. I don't join. I finish fast. I know. Speech gets sampled too. Once selected, your words become evidence. The dorm is quieter, careful quiet, as if the building sits in a giant palm, and someone checks if it trembles. At the wash, I scrape my hand on metal. The cut is shallow. Blood doesn't rise at once. A good wound. Like a good worker. When cut, it learns to close. I rinse it. Bury the sting in temperature. Return to my bunk. The space beside me is still empty. A question without an answer. Logic says, if today is sampling, someone must fall outside the sample. Neither excellent enough for praise, nor poor enough for disposal. They are called the median. The median is temporarily safe. I want to be it. I'd be it for life. But continuous evaluation won't let you stay centered. The algorithm hates stasis. It loves variance. Variance feeds the data. Which means, even if you remain perfect and unchanged, it will push you to another spot. To test if you can change. I nail that fear into my skull. And try not to touch it. Sleep is slow. Close my eyes, and the quota displays red digits burn the inner lids. Numbers jump, and pick apart what patience is left in my nerves. I try to save myself. In my head, give every casing I finished today a silent name. Not heroes' names. Just a sequence. Let them lie like stones on a riverbed. And steady my breath under the current. 1, 2, 3. 211, 212. At 300. I realize this isn't calming me. It's simulating the day. I stop it fast. Switch tactics. Recall a safe moment. I can't. No moment here qualifies as safe. Safety is a hypothesis, appearing only in documents to justify risk. I turn and press my face into the hard foam of the pillow. Smell the neutral, made of cleanser and fatigue. I don't hate it. I can't like it. Like my place. Finally, sleep arrives like a late order, delivered to the station. At dawn the bell is ready to drag me out again. But the Vox arrives a half line early, inserting a sentence before the official prayer. Supplemental QA extended. Until further notice. Until further notice. 6 words that turn yesterday's shadow into ground. We must walk on it. Until a new shadow falls. I sit up. A late ache climbs my back. I draw my knees in. Make my spine click like a folding wrench. My own small right. Unregistered. Maybe it will help me look more like a permitted to operate part today. The wash lines descend. The water is like yesterday's. I slide my hand in. Wake the cut in the warmth. It reminds me. I am alive. And must continue. On the line, the paste is less gritty now. But more gelled. Like secrets thickened. The Vox swaps the phrasing again. Yesterday, precision in obedience. Today, endurance in obedience. Shift the order. And the knife edge turns to the other side. 2 new temporary observation posts line the corridor. Red robes set instruments there, as if fitting ears into air. I lock my eyes on the oil stain before my toes, and step over it again and again, keeping stride length matched. It's being recorded too. I need a small inner measure, or continuous evaluation, will grind me into powder. At the entrance the overseer announces a new benchmark. Our output will be tested against a frontline fleet's new caliber spec. Meaning, we'll carve strength we don't have, and send it to a place we cannot see. I don't know the fleet's name. I don't need to. Knowing won't change whether the casing in my hand must be tighter. I only know. The front grows. We shrink. The lens above my bench hangs lower today, close enough to catch the sweat on my brow. The quota number stays. The tolerance slips down another nearly invisible decimal. Those decimals are the most dangerous. They make you think, a little more effort will suffice. A little more breaks precision. I start distributing each step's effort through different muscles. As the man who was called away taught me, I keep that unacknowledged skill, like a legacy. It's all he left. Before noon, the first roll call does not come. Not safety. It means the algorithm is still computing, hungry for more samples. For us to expose ourselves more completely. I realize something ugly. We're not only being watched, we're volunteering the footage. To survive, we make ourselves more standard. To avoid risk, we smooth away differences. Result: the algorithm clusters us more easily, and more easily finds the few not similar enough. Then, those are the names called. So our conformity is another way we push ourselves off the median. The thought scares me enough that the next casing nearly slips. I fix it fast, force the logic back into its sheath. At noon, the call finally arrives. Shorter list, only 3. Short is not mercy, it is accuracy. The algorithm grows confident. The third number stands near me. When he rises, he makes a tiny motion, presses the registered charm beside his name plate down a notch. The charm is permitted logged. I don't know what compliant height he means to meet, or why he must finish this small job before he leaves. But I understand, when stripped of every choice, a person will align one last small thing. To swear his life wasn't crooked. The afternoon sampling is denser. Inspectors hardly walk now. They stand at the end of the aisle, and we carried the trays to them in turn. A door set there, and you pass today's self under its frame. The decision to keep or discard is not in your hands. When it's my turn, I try to turn my fingers into a straight line. He does not look at me, only at the casings. Eyes like ice. He returns 2 to the tray, pulls a third, writes a string on the terminal. I don't know the code. I hear it ring inside me like metal. I take the tray back, careful not to make any extra sound. In my head I say, continue, continue, continue. At dusk the Vox declares. Supplemental QA enters the process without endpoint. Evaluations archived weekly, updated daily. Stations maintain current tempo. Individuals maintain current state. No endpoint. I read the 4 words, and feel a layer of floor pulled out from under my feet. Not a fall, a suspension. You must hold yourself in the air. Treat every second as a watch second. This is life outside the list. Between sampled and unsampled, there is no clear border. The only border is whether today you became data. I set the last casing down, like letting a drop of blood fall into water, soon invisible. But the taste changes. As for me, I only need to live to tomorrow, and change the taste a little more. The red numerals on the chronometer haven't faded from my eyelids. I feel them like a burn. A reminder, every second is a number now, every number is a judgment. We march, single file, toward the manufactorum again. But today, there is someone waiting for us. Not the robed supervisors, not the skulled servitors, not our usual watchers. These figures stand silent near the entrance, higher-ranking tech priests. Tall, augmented, red robes edged with gold circuitry. Incense coils vent from their cloaks, turning the air into sacred chemical haze. Their masks reflect the factory lights, 2 chrome plates. No eyes visible, just lenses, just input ports. One of them lifts a staff crowned with a rotating cog symbol. The servo skulls nearby drop lower, as if bowing. The tech priest speaks, not to us, to the machines. His voice is a ritual blend of binary and chant. 00111001. Calculate efficiency variance. Blessed are the gears that know their place. Error will be identified. Error will be purified. The factory answers him. Lights flicker. Sparks dance along the conveyor belts. Pistons release a synchronized sigh. It feels like the entire manufactorum inhales at once. We line up for entry. A metallic device descends from the rafters, a scanning gate. We've walked through scanners before, but not this one. This one has teeth, rotors, serrated clamps, pincers that twitch as they calibrate, like the machine is practicing biting. The tech priest gestures. Proceed. He doesn't shout. He doesn't need to. Authority radiates from him like heat. The first worker steps forward. The machine hums and lets him pass. The second steps forward. A flash of red light. A clamp snaps shut around her left arm. We all flinch. She grits her teeth, silent. The device injects something, or extracts something. A hiss. A click. The clamp retracts. She's released. Still alive. Still silent. It's clear, the machine is reading us. Our blood. Our nerves. Our fear. We keep moving. When it grips me, needles brush the surface of my skin. A whisper of cold seeps into the bone. I don't breathe. A second passes, then a second more. The clamp opens. I move on. Inside, the workstations have changed again. Every tool is rearranged to a standardized grid, 12 mm spacing, perfect alignment, perfect symmetry, no deviation. Even our stools have markers showing exact sitting angle. We are not expected to simply work. We are expected to calibrate our existence. Screens flicker alive above each station. Performance profile loaded, error margin 0.27% alert. Physiological variance detected, expected. My chest tightens. They already analyzed us. All night, while we slept, machines made decisions about our tomorrow. When I pick up the first shell casing of the day, the edge slices my thumb. A clean, narrow line. No blood yet, but enough to sting. I understand instantly. The casings are sharper. Sharper means more risk, more mistakes, more reasons to remove workers. I swallow hard and adjust my grip. Supervisor drones hover by. Not human supervisors, automated ones. 3 metal spheres stamped with the symbol of the Mechanicus, half skull, half cog. They float behind us like hungry angels. Their lenses dilate with every motion we make. Hours pass in relentless quiet. We have learned not to speak. Speaking draws attention. Attention draws analysis. Analysis draws removal. Better to become statistical silence. But even silence has a number. And silence can fail too. Midday. The tech priests return. They gather at the far end of the hall, near the induction stations where raw laborers are tested. One raises his staff again. Select. Diagnose. Replace. 3 words. No more needed. Our section supervisor begins reading numbers. Designation 344 designation 552 designation 478 . 3 names vanish into abstraction. 3 workers step out. They walk with faces stiff as locked servos. They don't look back. The tech priests don't even look at them. They look at us. The message is simple: not good enough. Not efficient enough. Gone. Someone beside me mutters the Emperor's name, too quiet to identify. But the drones hear. A mechanical hiss. A warning dot lights above that worker's workstation. Behavioral anomaly detected. He lowers his head. Slowly. Painfully. The dot stays on for the next 3 hours. His hands shake so badly that he nearly contaminates a shell with sweat. He survives. Barely. Afternoon sunlight never reaches us. But I sense the shift in the air. The factory warms as day wears thin. We are permitted a 76-second break. Not 75. Not 77. Screens count down in real time. 76, 75, 74. I sip water. It tastes like recycled metal. But warmth spreads through me. A fragile mercy. A mercy that costs the same for everyone. 76 seconds. Then back to the grind. The tech priests elevate the final inspection line. The supervisor drones track micro-tremors in our wrists. Servitors log breathing rates. And above us, new Vox speakers crackle. Remember, work is obedience. Obedience is faith. Faith is survival. Survival. The only reward we are allowed. Just before shift end. A new sound. Not bells. Not Vox calls. Boots. Heavy. Disciplined. Coordinated. The Adeptus Arbites enter. Black armor polished like obsidian. Visors opaque. Shock mauls charged. They march between stations, scanning positions, not the products. Us. They select one worker. No explanation. No hesitation. He disappears between armored shoulders. He doesn't struggle. Struggling would only add to the punishment. A servitor appears moments later to clean a droplet of spilled water from the floor. The only trace he ever existed. We finish the shift. Exhaustion claws at my bones. But no one slouches. Fatigue is recorded. Fatigue means inefficiency. I hold my spine upright like a steel beam. We recite the evening prayer with precision. We are the hands of the throne. Our toil is his glory. Our pain is his armor. For a moment, I let myself believe it. Because belief is easier than fear. Back in the dormitory, as 17 billion humans attempt sleep, I stare at the underside of the bunk above. Mine, rust lines forming a crude symbol, 2 half circles, 1 downward slash. The Aquila. Crude. Small. Imperfect. Maybe a desperate blessing carved by the worker who once slept here. I touched the cold metal. Not as a prayer. More like a question. How much imperfection does it take before the Imperium decides you are no longer worth correcting? Sleep eventually comes, dragged down by fatigue, not comfort. As consciousness fades, one last thought hammers. The watchers above are counting. And sooner or later, everyone's number comes up. The morning bells don't feel like bells today. They feel like a countdown. The red digits on the chronometer pulse like a wound refusing to close. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, every second I continue to exist is a statistic the Imperium has not yet erased. We rise from our bunks in silent synchronization. 17 billion souls inhaling fear at the same instant makes the air taste like iron. As we march to our shift, the corridor walls host new banners. Tolerance, 0 printed in black ink, thick enough to crack. Servitors have affixed purity seals over every old motivational scripture. The old words are still beneath, buried but not removed. Like us. Hidden obedience. Hidden decay. Soon, even the hidden will be punished. At the manufactorum entrance, the tech priests are waiting again. Yesterday, they scanned us. Today, they evaluate us. 1 points toward the scanning gate, and 2 servitors flank it with shock prod staffs. The first worker steps through. Green light. Accepted. The second walks in. Yellow light. He hesitates. Servitors do not. Electricity snaps. His body folds like a note being discarded. They drag him away by his collar. Yellow means gone. There is no red. When my turn arrives, my pulse tries to outrun my body. The machine reads it. Red light flashes, then stabilizes to green. I swallow a breath I did not know I was holding. 1 wrong molecule in my blood and I would be gone. Faith is not what keeps us here. Statistical luck is. Inside, the workstations have become sharper again. Edges honed into tiny dangers. If the factory wants our blood, it only needs us to work faster. Performance screens activate. Error margin, 0.14% physiological. Deviance. Low maintained compliance. The numbers feel like a hand squeezing my throat. Low deviance. Not no deviance. Enough to mark me as still needing adjustment. The Arbites patrol the aisles today. Not Mechanicus. Not Administratum. Arbites only. Come when the Imperium expects crime. Each footstep they take is a verdict waiting for a name. One pauses behind my station. I do not breathe. I do not blink. I do not exist. His visor stares at the back of my skull. I feel it drilling for heresy in my thoughts. Then he moves on. My lungs burn as I release the breath in careful increments. The brake whistle sounds. We have 51 seconds. Not 76. Not enough. I sip water. Teeth chatter as if cold. But it is fear, not temperature. A worker down. The line whispers too loudly. If they keep tightening, we're going to break. The Arbites hear it. 2 steps. A choke. A thud. No scream. The shock maul severs the sound before it forms. The corpse stays on the floor until prayer period. Back at the benches, my hands perform every motion perfectly. But my mind keeps slipping like a gear with worn teeth. I focus harder. Shell. Powder. Seal. Press. Shell. Powder. Seal. Press. I imagine that each round carries a small part of me to the front. A piece of my will that might survive longer than my body does. Maybe a guardsman will load it without knowing my name. Maybe the recoil of the gun will feel like my heartbeat going on. Maybe something I made will matter. Even if I won't. Near. Shift end. The screens flash. Final audit incoming. Cease work. Stand by. No one wants to. Stand by. Standing invites doubt. The tech priests sweep the line again. Their servo arms extend, sampling trays of finished munitions. But today is different. They test all of mine. Every shell. Electroplasmic light runs over brass. Sensors whine. Data scrolls. A bead of sweat slides down my wrist. One mistake. One imperfection. And I will be the next example. Time stretches thin and tight, ready to tear. The tech priest taps his cogitator. A single metallic click. Acceptable. The word lands like salvation carved into iron. The Arbites do not move toward me. I am safe. For now. We march back to the dormitory, brittle bodies held upright by fear alone. In my bunk, I stare at the rust tequila again. It has begun to flake. Even symbols rust here. Even hope oxidizes. Before sleep takes me, I whisper silently so machines cannot hear. Let tomorrow find me still useful. Let tomorrow not tighten the clamps again. Let tomorrow grant me one more shift. It is not a prayer. It is a bargain. With a universe that does not bargain back. There is no warning. The manufactorum simply wakes up angry. Alarms do not blare. Lights do not flash. Instead, every machine pauses mid-cycle, like the entire factory is inhaling one long, sharp breath. A strange silence descends. Not comforting. Not restful. A predatory silence. Then the Vox systems ignite. Attention! Machine spirits await evaluation. A new presence hums through the walls. A cold intelligence, neither flesh nor holy enough to be a saint. The central logic engine is online. I have heard rumors, whispers in mess halls. The upper manufacturum sectors tested a predictive evaluation system, an algorithm that ranks workers not based on performance alone, but expected future compliance. Those who might fail later are removed now. To save time. To save resources. To save bullets. The conveyor belts lock. Every arm, every press, every cog stops exactly where it stands. Steel giants frozen in judgment. Above the factory floor, a new screen activates. Cohort prediction model phase. Behavioral forecasting rows of numbers flicker too fast for human eyes to follow. But the message is simple. We are being measured not for what we have done, but for what we might do. The voice returns, synthetic, layered, merciless. Suboptimal personnel, stand by for retrieval. A column of red indicator light snaps on over 20 workstations. 20 workers. One of them stands right beside me. He looks at the red light above his head, tries to understand what mistake he made. He made none. That is the problem. The system is not searching for errors. It is searching for probabilities. He whispers, "I did everything right." Shockmalls roar. A squad of arbitrators breaks formation like wolves let off their chain. They don't drag. They remove. Steel-toed boots. Orderly violence. Bodies lifted like defective parts. The man beside me struggles once. A single, terrified twist, a baton, slams the air out of his lungs. His arms go limp. His legs follow. He is carried away. No one replaces him. His station remains lit red. A monument to predicted failure. Then, a different light catches my eye, amber. Above my station. Amber means, not safe. Not doomed. Uncertain. I feel my vision narrow to a pinhole. My pulse hammers against bone. My breath becomes a sin, too loud, too frequent. If the algorithm can read fear, then fear becomes a disqualifying trait. I force my jaw to unclench. I focus on the cold steel under my palms. I recite the wiring sequence of a standard forged pattern assembly press in my head to drown out the panic. 8 bolts per gear. 4 gears per linkage. Blessed be the teeth that turn in his name. I don't believe the words. But the machines might. The final announcement arrives like a verdict. Compliance threshold restored. Resume function. The machines restart before we do. We must catch up to them. We always must. The belts roll. The arms strike. The presses breathe fire. We move. Hands numb, thoughts sharpened to glass. Opposite my station, a woman begins to weep quietly. She still works, but tears fall into raw brass. Supervisor drones descend. Her station light turns red. The tears stop instantly. Too late. They take her too. By shift's end, 30 stations are vacant. 30 workers erased because their futures did not satisfy math. We file out, each of us with the same silent calculation. How long until my probability displeases the machine? Back in the dormitory, my bunk feels smaller. The ceiling feels lower. The rusted Aquila looks less like hope and more like a nail. The prediction system wants us to be unchanging. But fear changes us. Fatigue changes us. Life changes us. So the machine will never be satisfied. It will always find someone next. I lie awake long into the cycle. Eyes open, mind clenched. If perfection is survival, then survival is impossible. The Emperor's mercy is a finite number, and sooner or later my number will be used up. I wake before the bells today. Not because I slept well, but because I barely slept at all. The machines spoke yesterday. They predicted who would fail. And they were right. 30 bunks are empty in the dorm block. Sheets stripped clean. No names. No reassignment slips. Empty space becomes the most terrifying shape. The prayer bells finally sound. They don't feel like prayers anymore. They feel like commands disguised as faith. We move through the morning rituals with movements rehearsed by terror. Wash hands until the skin burns, dress without wrinkles, no trembling, no hesitation, no noise, because everything is evidence now. Everything is data. The march to the manufactorum is quiet. New posters line the corridor walls. Think clean, work clean, be clean. Purity seals overlap each other like scabs. Covering rust. Covering warnings. Covering truth. Servo skulls zip lower than before, hovering just above eye level, close enough to hear us think wrong. At the entry, instead of scanners or tech priests, there are scribes. Administratum scribes in brown robes, data slates stacked like bricks in their arms. Their eyes are gray and empty, not hateful, not kind, just processing. One steps into my path. He holds up his slate, reads the numbers inside me: designation, error rate, deviation score, physiological irregularities. He nods once. Proceed. Under observation. Under observation? We are always under observation. But this feels like a new category, not trusted, but not disposable. Not yet. Inside, the manufactorum feels faster today, as if the machines woke up and chose violence as workflow optimization. The presses slam harder, almost joyful in cruelty. Conveyors run quicker, daring human anatomy to keep up. Sparks kiss exposed skin and sizzle like tiny verdicts. If anyone slows down, they do not slow down again. Then it happens. A slip. A scream. A splash. Worker number 662 drops a casing. He reaches instinctively. Human reflex. Forbidden reflex. The press catches his hand. Bone and brass crush together into one unrecognizable mass. His scream jams the air itself. Supervisor drones swoop down, recording angles of agony. Our bites do not intervene. Machines don't stop. Production doesn't pause. Blood becomes another audit trail. Med servitors arrive too slowly to matter. They inject him with silence and wheel away what remains. A replacement worker steps into his place before the press is even cleaned. Efficiency restored. Loss accounted for. The heat grows heavier. Sweat collects on brows, and that, too, is a violation. The sensors detect moisture on the casings we handle. Red warning lights flash down the line. Humidity breach. Human error probable. Us. We are the moisture. We are the breach. Tech priests deploy microfans overhead, not to cool us, but to disperse sweat before it contaminates the Emperor's munitions. We are the least sacred element in this factory. Break period, 43 seconds. Don't sit. Sitting will slow blood flow. Slow blood flow will show fatigue metrics. Fatigue metrics become predictions. Predictions become death sentences. So I stand. Hands at neutral angle. Breath measured to approved BPM. This is not resting. This is preventive obedience. Later, the central voice returns. The Emperor protects those who do not protect themselves. A twist of doctrine, polished into a blade. Work faster. Or be culled. I feel the casing edges cutting deeper. Skin tears. Blood beads. I let it fall to the floor instead of onto product. Blood is expensive. But a contaminated bullet costs more. During final inspection, the scribe who scanned me in appears again. He takes 3 shells from my completed tray. We watch as he measures them. He hums, not a tune, a formula. Then, he sets 2 aside. Marks 1. Marginal variance, monitor. My lungs turn mechanical, shallow, rhythmical, precise. Monitor means, you are fraying. You might break. We will be here when you do. Marching back to the dorms. I notice something awful. My boots are sticky. Not from oil. Not from fuel. From the blood spilled earlier. The floor remembers what the factory forgets. In my bunk, I look again at the rust tequila overhead. A piece flakes off and lands in my palm. The rust stain spreads like a wound. I stare at it a long time. Rust is what happens when metal is pushed too hard for too long. Humans don't rust. We bleed. But both are forms of decay. Both are warnings. And here, warnings come too late. I close my fist around the rust, let it bite into my skin. I need the pain to remind me. I still have something left to lose. The next morning arrives with a new wrongness. There are no shadows on the corridor walls. The light is too even, too bright, too everywhere. Somehow, the illumination feels hostile, like the factory wants to see inside us now. Servo skulls drift closer, their lenses reflecting our faces. Pale, hollow-eyed, nearly interchangeable, we are becoming the same thing. Maybe that is the point. At the manufactorum gates, no tech priests wait. No arbites. No scanners. Just a sign projected in stark black. Self-test in progress. Report your own imperfections. Volunteer for purity. A trick. A trap. The Imperium does not ask. The Imperium commands. No one steps forward. No one dares. After a moment, the doors unlock anyway. We enter, not relieved, just reprieved. Inside, the world has changed. Not in shape. In atmosphere. Something missing. Something we relied on without knowing it. The central voice is silent. The performance monitors dark. The drones, floating still, lenses dim, like dead metal eyes. The machines are still running, but slower, quieter, as if listening, as if waiting to be obeyed without asking. The absence of surveillance becomes its own surveillance. We start working, not because we are told to, because the alternative is to stand out. The conveyor belts glide. Casings clink like coins dropped into a bottomless offering box. Shell, powder, seal, press. Shell, powder, seal, press. But without the overseers, our movements feel exposed, not judged, but observed by something unseen. We don't know whether to speed up or slow down. Either could be the wrong choice. So we simply sustain. At break time, there is no whistle, no countdown, just a faint churning sound from cooling fans overhead. Nobody moves, not away from their stations, not toward water. We have learned too well, when given freedom, a worker may misuse it. So we stay, frozen obedience. A prison we built inside ourselves. The shift continues without pause. Hands tremble from strain, but we clamp them still. Blisters reopen. Skin splits. Blood beads like dew on brass. The machines say nothing. The screens remain dark. The silence becomes unbearable. A worker finally risks a whisper. Maybe this is over. A second voice replies, brittle. Maybe we passed. Then, a single light returns. Not white. Green. Above that worker's station. He doesn't know what it means. None of us do. He smiles. A mistake. The light switches to red. Arbites step from unseen alcoves. Grab him. Drag him away. The silence ends with his disappearance. Lesson delivered. Hope is recorded as deviance. Our station lights flicker awake. Error margin, 0.09% observation. Total self-evaluation. Mandatory we stare at the numbers. The margin has dropped again. It always drops again. Beneath the primary data, a new line blinks. Shadow analysis active. NO shadows detected. My breath stops in my chest. They removed the shadows on purpose. Our shadows used to hide imperfections. Hide fear. Hide doubt. Without shadows, every flaw is visible. Even the ones inside us. At closing prayer, the Vox finally returns. The Emperor sees all. When light is perfect, there is nothing left to hide behind. A new darkness settles over me. Not the kind caused by night. The kind caused by being seen too clearly. Back in the dormitory, the light is also brighter. The bunk above me casts no shadow. The rusticula overhead is plain, naked, its ugliness undeniable. Without shadow, it is no longer symbolic. It is simply corrosion. I close my eyes. But even behind eyelids, the light persists. I cannot hide. Not tonight. Not anymore. The bells strike morning like a hammer against bone. Not a chime, a warning. The air in the dormitory feels thinner, squeezed by something invisible. Something watching from every angle. There is a new presence on the corridor walls today. Framed portraits of the Emperor, each one slightly different. One with burning eyes, one with a stern frown, one smiling. Faintly, almost cruelly, one with no face at all beneath each portrait. The Emperor sees the truth in all hearts. He sees truth now? He did not before? Or did he see, but choose not to react? The thought is danger. But it forms anyway. I push it down. It sinks only halfway. At the manufactorum gates. We do not walk through scanners. Instead, a priest in black robes awaits. A confessor. I've only ever heard of them. Their job isn't to watch our hands. Their job is to measure our souls. He raises his crozius high, a metal icon of the Aquila forged into its head. Servo skulls drift behind him, recording everything. Workers of Hive Tier, today, your faith is measured. Measured. As if belief is a number. As if piety is a quota. He walks down the line slowly. Each footstep sounds like a verdict. He stops in front of a man 3 rows ahead. A man I've seen murmur prayers constantly under his breath. Recite, the confessor orders. The man begins. Blessed is the Emperor, protector of mankind, wrong order. The confessor says. A nod to the skulls. Shock spikes jab into the man's neck. He collapses, limbs rigid. The confessor does not look at him again. He continues walking. Faith is not measured by fervor. Faith is measured by accuracy. The confessor stops in front of me. I stare straight ahead, at the wall, at the sigils, at nothing. He tilts his head. Do you love the Emperor, worker? There is only one right answer. Yes, confessor. How much? My mouth goes dry. How much? Is there a correct number? I gamble, more than myself. He considers the words with a thoughtful hum, then moves on. My knees weaken. I stay upright. Being upright is survival. Inside, the manufactorum looks unchanged. But something has shifted. The drones now display small, hovering text, attention, behavioral faith analytics active. We are being evaluated for thought we have not yet thought. For doubt we have not yet dared. Even the machines now pray, but only to catch us when we don't. Work begins. Not one worker speaks. Even breathing seems suspicious. On the conveyor, I see stickers that weren't there before. Faith forged. Error is heresy. I handle each casing as if touching a relic. Not because it is holy. Because it is dangerous. Midway through the shift, a man coughs. Just once. Just a dry, harmless cough. But the confessor hears it. Is that defiance in your throat, worker? Before the question finishes, Arbites strike. They drag the coughing man away. The cough echoes long after he disappears. Time feels heavier. Each tick of the chronometer presses down like a weight added to my spine. Screens above blink. Acceptable morale. Low morale pressure. Increase. A voice follows. Rejoice more. Rejoice? While bleeding inside? But I lift the corners of my mouth. A small, artificial smile. Artificial smiles are safer than real ones. Real emotions are unpredictable. Unpredictability is deviance. Near shift end, the confessor demands a group recitation. We speak as one voice. Blessed are the obedient. He cracks the air with his staff. Louder! We shout. Blessed are the obedient, for they shall continue to serve. He nods. The test is passed. Not because our hearts are pure, but because our throats still work. Walking back to the dormitory, I feel the confessor's gaze still digging into the back of my skull. As if he planted something in my mind, a seed of suspicion against myself. That seed grows. Roots of fear spread behind my ribs. A thought blooms. What if I do not love enough? I clench my fists, nails dig into palms. Pain is something I can control. Belief is not. I return to my bunk, look up at the rust Aquila as always. Except tonight, I notice something new. The rust patch has formed a second head. Twin. Jagged. Staring in 2 directions at once. The Imperial Aquila. Watching the past. Watching the future. Seeing everything. I don't sleep. Because if I dream, I might dream something wrong. And here, even dreams are audited. The dormitory is louder without voices. There is space now. Too much space. Bunks sit empty like teeth knocked out of a jaw. Those who once occupied them left no proof except the gaps they made. The only sound is ventilation. A deep, pulsing exhale through metal lungs. But even the breath of the hive feels anxious. Walking to the manufactorum, I see a trail. Brown stains on the floor. Not oil. Not rust. Dried blood. Someone tried to clean it. Tried, but didn't finish. The Imperium cares about cleanliness only when it affects production. We pass by a new display panel. Heroes of the Hive. Efficiency Incorporated. Rows of empty silhouettes. Beneath commendation plaques. No names, no faces. Just blank shapes. As if they are waiting to assign heroism to whoever dies efficiently next. A worker beside me stares too long. The servo skull above him whispers. Move! He moves. Inside the factory, I notice something different. The voices. Not people. The machines. When the presses drop. The pistons push. The belts grind. There's an edge to the sound I've never heard before. A tone like distant screaming, as if those crushed by the system left their agony inside the gears. And the gears remember. The shift begins without orders. We know what to do. We always do. Work is instinct now. Hands bleed. Joints burn. Thoughts shrink. Shell. Powder. Seal. Press. Shell. Powder. Seal. Press. There is safety in the repetition. Until repetition fails. Halfway through the morning, a worker from the far row stops moving. Not collapses. Not dies. Just stops. His eyes are open. Body rigid. Like he turned to stone. In the middle of a prayer. Supervisor drones hover above him. Scanning heart rate, respiration, pupil dilation. He still lives. His body simply refuses to continue. One drone projects a classification. Psychological shutdown. Cause cognitive overload. Solution removal. Arbites collect him as if he were trash. Left behind after a ceremony. No struggle. No scream. All fear was already taken from him. By silence. The remainder of the shift is quieter. Because every mind is trying very hard not to stop. Break. 43 seconds. A crack in the routine appears. Someone whispers. They erased 30 yesterday. One more today. What is the quota? A brave question. A stupid question. But a necessary question. Nobody answers out loud. Our silence is the only shield we have left. But, in silence, doubt grows like mold. Asterisk asterisk. Afternoon audit. The confessor returns. Robes darker than yesterday. As if each removed worker adds a layer of black to his cloth. He demands volunteers this time. Confess your weakness. Seek purification. Earn righteousness through honesty. No one moves. So he picks at random. He points at me. For a moment, my vision goes white. Not from fear, but from expectation. I step forward. Not by choice. By gravity. The confessor peers into my eyes. Like searching for rot behind the corneas. Do you ever doubt? He asks. I understand the game. Truth is heresy. Lies are heresy. Hesitation is heresy. So I answer. No. I doubt itself. He studies my face. The skulls record every twitch. Then, he smiles. A terrible thing. Good. Your fear is productive. He turns away. I nearly collapse. Fear did not save me. Fear saved the Imperium's production quota. End of shift. We form lines to exit. But before the final bell rings, we hear them. Footsteps. Scattered. Unsteady. They echo from a sealed hallway. A door slides open. Med-servitors push a cart. Covered by a sheet. Human shape beneath. The worker who turned to stone earlier. He is not dead. He is moving. Joints twitch. Hands clench. Mouth opens and closes. But no sound comes out. His eyes are wrong. Wide. Empty. Like someone scraped the inside clean. A new category. Returned. He is rolled past us. We make space without a word. No one wants to breathe near him. As if his silence might spread. In my bunk that night, the rust tequila stares at me. It has grown again. Rust spreads slowly. But here it spreads faster. Not decay. A warning. A voice forms inside me. My own, but twisted. You saw a man return. But what part of him returned? And what part did they keep? To feed the machine? I grit my teeth. Try not to think. Because in this place, thought is audit. And audit never ends. Asterisk asterisk. I dream without sleeping. The ventilation hum becomes a whisper. The rust tequila becomes a mouth. The dormitory lights become staring pupils. I force myself awake before the bells. The world is unchanged. But I am. I now understand something terrible. In the Imperium, you don't survive by being strong. You survive by not being noticed. Even the strong are harvested. When the machine needs fresh metal, I join the march to the factory, boots scraping against steel. Each step a quiet prayer. Not to be chosen, not to be seen, just to be ignored. The manufactorum doors open. Before we reach them, sensors tracked our approach. We no longer approach work. Work approaches us. Inside, the lighting has changed again. Harsher whites. Shadows remain erased. Every detail explodes in clarity, including our fatigue. I hide mine behind a perfect posture. Perfect posture hurts. Good. Pain proves I can still adjust. Screens light up in rapid succession. New protocol. Eyelid monitoring enabled asterisk. A graphic displays 2 mechanical eyes, watching a blinking animation. The message beneath. Blinking indicates doubt. Doubt indicates heresy. Heresy is death. So we must not blink too much. But we also must not blink too little. Every thought becomes measurement. Every breath becomes calculated. Even our eyelids are now subject to quotas. The shift begins. Shell, powder, seal, press. Except today, the motion feels like a struggle against ghosts. 2 workers returned last night. Not 1, 2, both unresponsive, both with eyes wide, unmoving lids, as if machines taught them that blinking is a sin. The confessor stands between aisles, hands behind his back, like a shepherd waiting for the next sacrifice. His skull servitors project scripture. The Emperor's gaze is unending. Why should yours ever close? I feel my eyes drying. Moisture evaporates into the fear. I blink. One slow blink, forced to moisten the lenses of my soul. The drone above me logs the blink. In bright yellow text. Blink rate, borderline, borderline. Everything about me is borderline. Mid-shift audit. The central voice returns. Emotive instability detected. 3 workers are singled out. They are not dragged away. Instead, they must continue working, while breathing through devices strapped to their faces. Masks that monitor. Micro-expressions. Throat muscle tension. Heart rhythm changes. They cry behind the masks. The tears are vacuumed away. Before they can contaminate the product, the machines prefer clean sorrow. Break comes. 41 seconds. Blinking is permitted during break time. But who dares? Eyes sting. Pain becomes the only lubricant. No water. Water causes swelling. Swelling is inefficiency. Inefficiency is removal. I stare straight ahead, unmoving. A worker next to me blinks rapidly. Panic reacting in bursts. The text above his head changes. Deviant blink sequence. Flagged for cognitive review. He tries to stop. After break. He is gone. No screams. No violence. Simply, gone. Replaced by a servitor with fresh solder lines. Evening inspection. My tray passes. By margin thinner than a heartbeat. The confessor walks close, whispering into my ear. Your eyes tremble, child. Trembling faith is still faith. But it is weak. Do not let weakness spread. If he touched my shoulder, I think I would collapse. He doesn't. He doesn't need to. His gaze is heavy enough to bruise bone. Dormitory. Lights do not dim. Not tonight. A scroll hangs by the door. Sleep is the enemy of vigilance. The Emperor never sleeps. Do not shame him. I lie down regardless. The rust aquila glints in the constant glow. One head looking forward. One head looking back. And I suddenly realize. The aquila doesn't represent unity. It represents surveillance. No angle escapes detection. No seam escapes judgment. Even dreams are now measured for loyalty. I do not sleep. I only wait for tomorrow, to permit me to continue existing. By morning, my eyes will scream for rest. But rest is treason. The bells strike. Not 1 clang, but 3, sharp and surgical. 3 bells mean statistical cleansing. We line up automatically. Our bodies know routine better than our minds do now. As we march, every status screen in the corridor has changed to one single message. Red line threshold engaged. The font bleeds downward, like letters trying to escape their own meaning. Workers swallow without water, without permission. The sound of thousands of throats is louder than machinery. Inside the manufactorum, all the performance monitors now display red. No more green, no more yellow, just one color. Punishment. We stand in terrified formation, machines idle, waiting to be justified. Arbites line the walls, waiting to correct the unjustified. And then, the screens shift again. Individual error tolerance 0%. Group error tolerance 0%. No space left to fail. No space left to exist imperfectly. The confessor steps forward. The Emperor's love is absolute. His disappointment must be absolute. Absolute. Not better. Not worse. Absolute. Meaning, someone must be removed. Whether errors occur or not. Work begins. Shell. Powder. Seal. Press. Reality constricts to one loop of action. One mistake ends a life. A worker on the far row moves too cautiously. His pace slows by a fraction. The red light above him intensifies. His numbers dip slightly below the line. In this system, slight is enough. The Arbite sees him. He pleads with his eyes, not for mercy, for recalculation. But math does not listen. When numbers are too small, another worker's hand shakes. Just once. A tremor of exhaustion. A servo skull logs it. Red designation applied. She is removed. Break time. 39 seconds. The silence is desperate. I count every second. Because every second counts me. A worker mutters. They take the slow, but they also take the fast. It's true. Yesterday, the fastest among us was taken for acting too eager, interpreted as instability. So the solution is balance. Perfect balance. Perfect neutrality. Neither efficient nor inefficient, except perfection is unattainable, and neutrality is unreadable. So the solution doesn't exist. Red line reviews continue. The confessor watches everyone, but sometimes I see his eyes pause longer. On me. Why? My numbers are not the best, not the worst. Only barely enough. Barely enough. Becomes suspicious. Barely enough. Marks me as unpredictable. Barely enough. Is read by another name. A woman in my row starts praying too loudly. Her voice cracks with desperation. Holy Emperor, shelter us. The confessor raises 2 fingers. Arbites drag her away mid-sentence. Faith is permitted. Only when it is controlled. The machines ramp faster. Not to increase production. To increase test pressure. Press. 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 My muscles burn like counsel. My vision blurs like sin. My breath strains to match the mandated rhythm. Then, I slice my palm on casing metal. Blood wells. Before it spills, I swipe the wound against my leg, hiding the contamination. Tiny stars burst at the edges of my sight. Pain flares, sharp and honest. The hurt helps me stay awake. The hurt keeps me aligned. The hurt keeps me alive. Final inspection. Only 10 of us remain. From the original 20 on my line. Arithmetic of survival. 10 workers equals half success, half failure, 100% fear. The confessor whispers as he passes. We are forging you. Through the absence of mercy. Forging. Not nurturing. Not preserving. Refining. Which means, we are ore. The Imperium is smelt. Some of us turn to steel. The rest become slag. Back in the dormitory. A sheet has been hung over the bunk of the returned man. He lies beneath it. Breathing shallow, empty breaths. They haven't removed him yet. They want us to see him. To fear becoming that. To obey because living quietly is the only alternative to living badly. I stare at the ceiling. The rustiquila has grown jagged ridges. As if the corrosion is evolving into shape. Not random, patterned. An eagle with talons. Reaching down. Always reaching down. Before sleep forces its way in. A realization crawls into my skull. It is not enough to follow orders. You must prove. Every single moment. That you deserve to follow orders. In the Imperium, obedience is not submission. It is a competition. One that never ends. I have learned that survival is not a future. It is a moment. You survive this breath. Or you do not. You survive this shell. Or you do not. You survive this shift. Or you do not. Everything beyond that is fantasy. Today begins without bells, without prayer. Just a single command on the Vox. Begin. No reason. No ritual. We begin. Because stopping is no longer an option. The manufactorum swallows us whole. The conveyor belts run hotter. The steel is warm like fevered skin, casings bite deeper into flesh. Some workers already wear bandages. Blood seeping through in dark maps. Supervisors notice. Red flags rise. Bandages equals inefficiency equals removal. So most of us bleed without catching it. Better the floor drinks than the emperor sees. Shell. Powder. Seal. Press. Shell. Powder. Seal. Press. The repetition turns into heartbeat. Machine and human pulse align. I try to lose myself in the cadence. I try not to think. Thinking is where fear hides. A worker across from me hesitates on the press. Just a fraction. He glances toward his missing finger. Cut 2 days ago. When precision slipped 1 millimeter. That one glance triggers a silent alarm. Behavioral focus loss. Function projection decline. 2 Arbites step forward. He sees them coming. He chooses to run. A terrible choice. Shockmalls crack his spine. He collapses before the second step. His body twitches for a long time, before silence claims it. We do not stop working. Not because we do not care, but because stopping means sharing his fate. Halfway through the shift, the Vox speaks again. Today's objective: produce 1 more shell. 1 more? Above quota? Above yesterday? Above potential? 1 more what? 1 more than who? The message repeats. 1 more shell. Meaning, if your body quits, your number quits. You do not quit. So we push. Past pain. Past blood. Past breath. 1 more shell is the difference between existence and erasure. Break comes, if you can call it that. 37 seconds. The number shrinks. Like a candle burning down to the last wick. A worker tries to stretch his wrist. A small mercy for tendons ready to snap. A drone observes. Logs it. Unauthorized self-care. Arbites escort him away. We learn. Relief is rebellion. The machines ramp speed again. Brass clatters faster. Heat intensifies. Hands blur. Casings slip. And for a moment I feel one falling. I catch it by instinct. That instinct might save me. Or kill me. Something shifts in my palm. A fragment of metal buries deep into skin. Blood wells instantly. I close my fist around the casing and press down hard. Blending red into brass. Not visible. Not recorded. Controlled contamination. Final audit. My station is passed. Barely. A green bar appears. Thinner than a hair. Still alive, is the label. Not an award. Not a promise. Just a state. Temporary. In the dormitory. The returned workers have been taken away. Their bunks scrubbed. Sheets replaced. History erased. The rust tequila above me. It has grown talons. Not metaphorically. Visibly. Rust forming claws. Scratching toward my face. I stare at those claws. And understand. This place is teaching us how to die. While still calling it service. 1 more shift. 1 more shell. 1 more reason to remove the ones who fail. I close my eyes. I cannot sleep. But I can survive this 1 more moment. Tomorrow. I must find another. We march again. Spines locked, eyes open. Hearts pounding like cheap pistons. The manufactorum doors open. Before we reach them, the floor glows with arrows. Leading us not to our usual stations, but to a gathering zone. Confusion spreads silently. Confusion is dangerous. We hide it behind obedience. A new figure waits for us. Not a tech priest. Not a confessor. Not an Arbites officer. Someone worse. A departamento munitorum officer. Dark navy uniform, perfectly pressed. Ceremonial sword at his hip. And used, but lethal by design. His voice is empty of emotion. Production line 77 beta. You have been selected. For promotion. Promotion. A word heavy with hope. And horror. Promotion here does not mean reward. Promotion means your suffering will become useful elsewhere. He gestures. The screens ignite with red banners. Advanced duty assignment. Frontline arming corps. Frontline. The word slams into the room like artillery. Workers stiffen. Some shake. Some nearly collapse. Promotion equals. We survived the factory. Well enough to be killed somewhere worse. We are told to step forward 1 by 1. Each worker receives a new identification tag. Stamped with Logistics Unit. ammunition supply, combat adjacent role. We are workers, about to become targets. We keep our hands to our sides. No cheers, no apologies, only acceptance, because refusal is death without purpose. As my turn arrives, the officer studies my record. His eyes narrow. High resilience, high compliance, low breakage risk. He attaches my new tag with a small, metallic click. There's no pride in his motion, only utility. Do not forget, a shell that misfires kills the one who loads it. A threat disguised as doctrine. I nod. The alternative is being dragged away. We are marched to a new wing. Narrower halls, darker lights, heavier doors. The air smells of cordite, dust, sterilized violence. Workers from other lines stand inside cages, waiting to replace those promoted. It hits me. The factory does not shrink. The factory rotates, like a grinder. Those who fail disappear. Those who endure move closer to the teeth. Our new tasks begin immediately. We are no longer just assembling shells. We must pack crates to military specification, stencil labels in combat code, move inventory with zero deviation, stand ready for rapid reallocation, to supply lines breaking under war's demands. And there are no breaks here. Hours blur, backs scream, shoulders fracture slowly with each lift. But no one stops. Stopping means becoming inventory yourself. The confessor appears again. His voice floats. Rejoice! Each of you has been chosen to place death directly into the hands of heroes. Heroes. Meaning, other humans already doomed. We are not arming victory. We are feeding slaughter. But we nod anyway. Nodding is safer. Toward shift's end. They bring out a shipment manifest. Billions of rounds. Hundreds of crates. Destination. External deployment. Segmentum obscurus. Priority black. Priority black equals critical front. Mass casualties expected. No survivors guaranteed. The crates we touch today will be emptied by dying soldiers soon. Their last breath may smell faintly of our sweat. When we return to the dormitory, our section is moved upward, higher in the hive. Less stink, more space. The rusticula above my bunk is gone, replaced by a painted, pristine one. Gold. Sharp. Watching. This should feel like improvement, but it feels like being raised. Closer to the executioner's platform. Tonight, I speak no prayer. Not out loud. Not in my mind. I only repeat the truth. A promotion is just death, with a longer walk. I always thought the worst part of this job was staying here. I was wrong. The worst part is being sent elsewhere. The morning comes with no prayer. The bells sound like a siren. The announcement that follows is short. Load the transports. No promises. No blessings. Just labor. We move like a column of shadows. Only we no longer have shadows. The light is too intense, designed to eliminate uncertainty and excuses. We enter an enormous freight terminal. Ceilings lost to fog, walls lined with cranes large enough to crush dormitory blocks. Massive containers, stamp marked with the Aquila, wait for our hands. Each is filled with the hard work of dying soldiers. Bolter shells, lost packs, frag grenades, rations labeled last sustenance. We pack death and life in equal measure, but the balance always tips toward one side. As we work, a group of officers observes us from above. Not tech priests, not confessors. Imperial Navy. Their uniforms hold the cold color of deep space. Their medals shine with the reflection of countless funerals. They do not speak to us. We are beneath the conversation. Even death has with itself. A crate slips from a worker's hands. The crash echoes like a bolt gun report. The worker freezes. We all freeze. An Arbeits officer appears so fast. It feels like he materialized from fear. One strike. Electricity swallows the worker. His body jerks like a malfunctioning servo and goes still. Replaceable. Crate repacked by someone else. Work continues. Always continues. Midway through loading, a klaxon blares. Transports arriving. We turn as 3 colossal cargo landers descend. Engines screaming against gravity. Red light bathes the dock. Like we've all already sinned. The loading ramps touch down. Steel on steel. Thunder. And then, they open. Out march regiments of the Astra Militarum. Soldiers. Young. Old. Scarred. Terrified. They look at the crates. As if asking, "Is this enough to keep us alive?" We cannot answer. We know the truth. It will never be enough. Their eyes meet ours. In them I see fear, hope, ignorance, condemnation. They see us as the rear line. We see them as ghosts still wearing meat. One soldier whispers as he passes, "Where are your weapons?" A worker beside me replies, "We are not meant to fight." The soldier grimaces. Neither were we. When the transports are nearly full, a naval officer raises his hand. Random selection. 5 workers per transport. Random. The most dangerous word in the Imperium. My pulse collapses into silence. Numbers flash overhead. Spinning, shuffling, then stop. My designation is called. No bell. No applause. Just a new assignment. Outbound cargo. I am moved into the ranks of soldiers. They don't welcome me. They don't reject me. They don't understand me. I don't understand myself. The ramp seals shut. The ship vibrates. Like a beast snarling to be unleashed. I take a seat in a harness. Next to crates I assembled myself. One of them labeled, "Rounds High Explosive, Lot 77B. Lot 77B. My lot." The soldier beside me nods at the crates. "You make these?" I nod back. He whispers, "Let's hope they work. If they don't, he dies. If they do, someone else dies. There is no path without death. Only directions. Engines ignite. The hive falls away. Into a distant smear of light and metal. I have left. The only life I ever knew. My hands shake. From the weight of survival. I cling to one thought. One more shift. One more shell. One more breath. Beyond that, I dare not imagine. The alarm sounds. Prepare for warp translation. Lights flicker. The hold creaks. The air freezes. The Emperor's holy warp stretches reality thin. We enter darkness deeper than night. We leave behind a planet I never truly lived on. And ahead, war. The ship hums like an enormous heart. Each pulse a threat. That reminds us we are far from safety. We are strapped into metal seats, bolted to the hold. The soldiers pretend not to notice us. We pretend not to fear them. We are not comrades. We are cargo. Cargo with a pulse. For now. The Vox crackles. Incoming fire. Soldiers stiffen. A few murmur prayers through clenched teeth. I do not pray. I already know how prayers end. The ship lurches. Crates slam against the restraints. One bursts open. Shells scatter like brass seeds. Soldiers shout. Arbites shove us forward. Collect your product. They don't call them weapons. They call them product. Even tools of war are commodities. Before they are miracles. My hands work instinctively. Shell. Powder. Seal. Press. Except now. These motions load death directly. Into waiting rifles. A soldier watches me. He can tell from the way I handle the shells. Your manufactorum? Yes. He nods. Then you understand. Keep us alive. I almost laugh. A dry, cracked sound that escapes as air instead of voice. I do not keep anyone alive. I only delay their deaths, including my own. The hull screams around us, pressure bending metal like prayer bells in a furnace. Lights flicker out. For a moment, we are blind. Then emergency glow strips flare red. Blood light. Warp turbulence? Enemy fire? Both? A sergeant yells. Brace for drop. Drop? We were never told we'd be used like this. But orders do not require warning. The chains disengage. Gravity forgets itself. We fall. The transport bay becomes a coffin. Drop from the heavens. Everyone screams. Even the Arbites. Only the shells remain silent. Impact. The world punches upward. Air explodes out of my lungs. Shoulder restraints bite into bone. Alarms howl. Breach, breach, breach. Cold air floods in. Dust. Ash. The smell of burned atmosphere. The ramp slams open. A voice shouts. Out! Move! Move! We are shoved into the open. And I see it. A battlefield. A world aflame. The sky torn by artillery. And flying bodies. And machines screaming through clouds. A war where death is not a story. It is weather. The soldiers form ranks immediately. They know what to do. We do not. The manufactorum officer points at us. You there. Direct supply. You are now part of the fight. Part of the fight. Not protected by distance anymore. No walls. No drones. No quotas. Only enemies. Only bullets. Only death. The first bombardment hits. The shockwave throws us to the ground. Sand and debris cut into skin. My ears ring with panic. A crate beside me rattles. I open it. Inside. The same shells? I made with these hands. Lot 77B. My lot. A soldier grabs a handful. If you pack them, they'd better explode. I hope they do. For his sake. For mine. Across the field. Silhouettes advance. Too many to count. Alien shapes. Twisted armor. Eyes that burn like hunger. They scream words I cannot understand. But I know those screams mean. We are already dead. The soldiers fire. The world lights up with explosions. Born from my factory. One shell. One of mine. Hits true. A monstrous shape shatters. The soldier beside me laughs. A good one! He loads another from my crate. If I had failed that shell, he would be dead now. For the first time. My work feels like something more than survival. It feels like impact. Purpose. A horrible purpose. But purpose nonetheless. Another bombardment. Closer. Bodies lift off the ground. Blood becomes air. The soldier who praised my work is gone. Not wounded. Not fallen. Gone. His praise lasts longer than he did. I crawl behind the crate. Shells spill around me. Bombardment again. Closer. I grab a shell. Then another. Hands shaking. Vision trembling. A voice in my head whispers. One more shell. And again. One more shell. I don't know whether it is memory, or madness, or a command I will always obey. One more shell. Until there are none left. Until there is no more me. I load crates into hands that still move. Hands that will soon be gone. The air burns. The sky screams. I push forward. Not because I want to live, but because stopping would make their deaths my fault. I am a worker, and the work is never done. When night finally swallows the battlefield, I collapse inside a half-broken trench. Breathing hurts. Thinking hurts. Only one thought remains. A single line of identity. That refuses to die. I am Thaddeus Vaughn. Designation, 4779. Cargo. Worker. Nothing. But in the Emperor's endless war, even nothing must be useful. Until the last breath. I close my eyes. Not to rest. To reload. Because tomorrow will demand one more shell, and I will still be here. To make it. Or die as its casing.